Okay. Boom and boom. And we can settle into this draft. And you know what we're all praying for? Warpath has been the wood game master so far in this tournament. He's had at least, I think there's only been 3. I guess 4 now? No, 3. How many wood games have there been in this tournament? It's just the 3, right? And Warpath was there for 2 of them. So you never know. We could have another one here. It's possible. All right, let's see. Immersion, nice. That's a good start. I think. I'm still unsure. I still have good feelings about Immersion from the previous season, but I'm still not sure how much I like it. This new version. Banning hyper random though, that's gonna hurt the draft marks for Failey, I'm afraid. No shoals either, sad. So Failey wanted the water, but not hyper random, I guess. Sunburn, okay. Basically, just a bunch of runestones now, right? What's left? Runestones is chosen. There's still Aftermath. I think I prefer Aftermath to Serengeti and Bez. Oh, Outcrop as well. Okay, I like Outcrop. How could I forget Outcrop? I like this draft, actually. This set of maps is very interesting. No 2 of these maps play out in exactly the same way, which is rare to achieve in a Tarnished Deathmatch map draft, I think. So the Civ draft is actually going to be very interesting here. Runestones and Outcrop share some similar civs that are good in both, but it's not 1-to-1, I don't think. Let's see. Admin bans are huge. Malians is a pretty big hit. Japanese and Georgians and Franks are kind of mid hits. Saracens, okay. I don't know if Chinese would have been drafted here or not. I don't think water is important enough on Immersion anymore for Chinese to be a priority, but they're banned out anyway. No Kitans and no way. Very sad. We aren't going to be seeing them. Pretty big admin bans overall, honestly. Vietnamese, like a lot of mid-tier civs, I would say. Saracens are huge. Spanish and Chinese are big if you consider Immersion a water map. Koreans are pretty big hit. And then just a bunch of civs that tend to flesh out the middle to end of a draft, right? Italians and Armenians is an interesting first 2 bans for Failey. Warpath doesn't want these super quick civs, so no Kumans, no Huns. Am I? No, I'm not muted. Am I? Otter's scaring me. It's showing me as not muted. I have cast games before, totally muted, so it's not completely out of the question, but I don't think I am here. So, if someone could confirm that to me, it would make me feel better. Okay, Berlin is I'm not. Alright, perfect. Thank you, Otter. This is one of the craziest Civ ban lists I've seen in a while, by the way. Maya, Italians, and Armenians, and Ethiopians are crazy bans. These other ones are alright, though. No repeats in the simultaneous Civ draft there. Celts, Bengalis, Slavs, and Teutons. Teuton's second overall pick, right as Otter has been trashing them for the past 10 minutes or so. Sicilians, top 3 is pretty high for them as well. Malay, I mean, you're going to have to get... There is still, like, Magyars and Tatars, right? They're not banned out here, so I'm surprised we haven't seen any of them yet. There's the Magyars. Especially with like runestones. I think Magyars and Tatars are really good on runestones. Escalators have stopped working in Berlin, and speakers are blaring nonsense. Did someone hack Berlin? Otter is like having a crazy adventure in the real world while I'm watching this draft. Alright, Warpath snags both the Magyars and the Tatars at the tail end of this draft, which is really good. Celts and Mongols sniped. I think I much prefer Warpath's draft, if I'm being honest. But we'll see what Failey can do with some of these civs in here. Malay can be okay, the Gurjaras can be okay. Romans, Teutons are like fine. Bohemians are fairly good, I think. Slavs are really good, but I mean, look at this draft from Warpath. These are like all really, really good civs. Like Sicilians is probably the worst, but the Sicilians are not a terrible civ either. So I think I like Warpath here. Alright. I feel like Otter is like man on the street reporter right now. We're in the studio, and then every now and then Otter's like, traffic seems normal. Speakers are blaring. You might also hear a siren off my mic now, but I think it's just the fire station down the block, so I don't think a worldwide apocalypse is happening, but I could be wrong. Alright. So we're going to start out on Outcrop. Warpath has some choices for Outcrop. Bengalis and Persians are both very solid here, I think, if you want to go for an elephant push. But Tatars, Magyars, and Berbers are really good to play it more standardly. I think I would go Magyars here, but maybe not. The world shops are open, so the world is in order. Okay. As long as they stay open, the world will continue to turn. For Failey, I think this is like a Teutons map, maybe. Romans, maybe, but maybe Romans, actually. I don't... In lower divisions, Malay see wins on Outcrop, but I don't know if I would choose them here, especially against the civs Warpath has. Maybe Gurjaras. I think Teutons are slabs, though, for Failey. I abide by the tenet that you don't pick your first draft Civ first. So I guess I'll say Teutons versus Magyars. But let's get into it. Let's jump in. Ooh, weird colors. If people are opposed to these colors, let me know. But welcome in. Game 1. I do need to just not slight the players, their division rankings here. Game 1. Warpath versus Failey. We are here on Outcrop. It is the Persians for Warpath, and it is indeed the Teutons for Failey, so I'm maintaining my 50% Civ prediction standard, at the very least. Teuton Scout does not find value, shockingly, against the Persians. And we'll see what these openings look like. So it's going to be Halberdier and Siege for the Teutons. It's going to be what for Warpath is the more pressing question, because Persians, we saw them win with Savar. They can go gunpowder, stuff like that, but usually when I think Persians, I'm thinking elephants, right? Which is one reason I thought maybe Warpath would save Persians for Akare. But alright, we're choosing them here. Persians do have okay camels. Not great against the Teuton Halbs in particular, but... Trash bow! Okay, I wasn't expecting that. We're going Persian trash bow. It's not quite an opening, but it kind of is, because we're going to have more trash bows on the field than anything else pretty quick here, as the War Elephants are getting massed up, but just one castle up so far, one more on the way up. Failey taking early map control with some castles on the sides. And Teuton's not the civ you think about being faster or the first ones to push, but Failey actually is getting some decent map control in the middle here as Warpath just trying to mass up these elephants. Now I will say, I think trash bows are better against the Halbs than skirmishers. That's probably why we're going trash bows here. It's almost full Halb. Now some Paladin are getting mixed in. Oh, Warpath is on the Warpath. Has right-clicked his army through all of the Halbs from Failey. So we're taking quite a bit of damage. The elephants don't really care, I guess. Even bigger Teuton Civ loss? Is it? Let's see. Ideally, Warpath would start taking fights here. Alright, there we go. So this should be a good fight. It's not the fight I expected, but Trash Bows and Halb and obviously the Elephants will do a ton of damage here. Halbs theoretically counter Elephants, but in practice, I don't think they do. The trample damage by the War Elephants is so good against big Halb masses. Well, let's see. It's a lot of Halb. We've got Trebs behind trying to dome the Trash Bows, or maybe the Elephants. I'm not quite sure what they're aiming at here. We have some Savar, which shouldn't be good, I don't think, right? I guess they can take Scorpion Bolts a little bit better than most units, so maybe that's the thinking. But I think Teuton Paladin is better in a straight-up fight. Obviously, the Elephants are the big difference maker here, though. Warpath is out of food, though. That's another reason I'm not sure on the Savar, right? They use up the same resources that the Elephants do, so... I think if you're going to go for an Elephant push, you kind of have to be all in a little bit. I don't think you can half do an Elephant push successfully. We've got 50 Trash Bows on the field. The Rams are actually doing good work against the Siege. And they're going to start taking out this castle as well. What a strange unit composition, but it's working out splendidly. I never would have thought about trash bows, but they're putting in such good work here against the infantry. It's actually really good. So Warpath is indeed a mastermind beyond my comprehension. It does... The Paladin is a bit of an issue for the trash bow, it's got to be said. They are really not doing well against the Paladin. But elephants have arrived. Castle goes down to the Rams. I don't know if there's enough here for Warpath. Eco is looking okay behind this, but I think long term I prefer the Teutons. And there's been literally 0 damage by Warpath so far. It's actually been 7 eco kills from Failey. Failey has side control. Oh, this was the eco kills, by the way. I missed that, but that was the eco kills. So if all these elephants go down, what does Warpath do after that? I don't know. Into the halbs go the elephants, which is starting to not be a good trade for the elephants now. Just cost-effective wise. Ooh, nice shot. Trash bows. I know they're cheap, but their lives are not worthless, Warpath. So we're going to back up a little bit here. Warpath is thinking about pushing on the right-hand side here. Despite the castle being here, there's not too much protecting it. So these war elephants could probably just rip this castle down if Warpath was noticing this. Failey is going for a really brave relic heist into the back of Warpath's base. Already has the 2 from his side of the map. And is guarding this relic as well. That's another long-term way that Failey can do quite well in this game. Another round of elephants, but there's a lot of siege here now for Failey. Halbs also work their way to the front, and the elephants all go down. Eco's not great here. Failey having to micro all this at the front is tough, right? He's trying to relic heist from the back, which takes up some APM, so the Eco faltering a little bit behind Warpath, but the positioning is so good, I don't know if it's going to matter. Another castle, this time in the middle of the map for Failey. I don't think Warpath has any way to deny this. And what do you do now as Warpath? Feels like he's trying to figure out where to actually focus. But 0 gold, right? There should be gold back here somewhere, should there not? Did he already go through all of the gold in the base? I know there's not a lot, but there is some, isn't there? So fully denied off gold is Warpath, which is really, I mean, I guess as far as trash civs go, the Persians are actually fairly solid, but you don't really want to be in a situation where you have to go trash in DM. Not while your opponent still has full siege composition on the field. Elephant raids around the back. Massive. There are monks here, if Failey was paying attention. But I don't think he is. And I don't know if it would have mattered anyway. Do Persians get... they don't get heresy, so actually could have been a conversion there. But Warpath just calls it anyway. The push is too great. The elephants did not do enough, and Teutons, despite what... despite Otter's claims against the Teutons, it is truly a civ win for the Teutons here. The trash bows, actually, I don't know. I think it was a good idea still, right? It felt like the trash bows did all right, but yeah, I don't know, man. I don't really know what you're supposed to make here as the Persians, right? I think you have to be faster, maybe. If Warpath didn't have a ton of elephants on the field. Like the mixing in of Savar, I think was not a good idea. I think you just have to be full elephant, have like 4 or 5 castles up really fast, and go super fast with the elephant production. Misrepresenting you. Did you not? You said the words. That's an even bigger Teuton Civ loss. Oh, and then you said that's Teuton Civ win. I see. I see. All right. Otter, you're in the field, I understand. But some of your messages here have been difficult for me to decipher, so that's on me. I know you're out there figuring out what is going on in Berlin for us, so that we know what the staging ground of the apocalypse is going to look like. But so that's on me. That's on me. Teutons do win. Persians lose. Oh, that was for the Magyars versus the Teutons. Yeah. Well, I think Warpath maybe would have fared a little bit better if my prediction had been accurate. Indeed. That's a double whammy for Warpath as well, because not only do we lose on the neutral map, which is often a big deal, but we don't have Persians for Accaray anymore, which I think is one of the better civs for that map. So now I'm curious what Warpath is going to do on Accaray. Magyars could be solid there too. Maybe like a Bengalis, but I don't think Ratha are very impressive for DM. Maybe it's like Tatars or Berbers. I don't know. But let's see. I don't think that is the next game. Okay, perfect. So I can actually waste time talking about this. Failey. I actually don't hate the Bohemians on Accaray. Romans are probably not terrible. But I think I'm going Bohemians here if I'm Failey. And if I'm Warpath... What am I going as Warpath here? Are Magyars good against Bohemians? They can snipe the siege, but they get the Bohemian Howl do so much damage. I guess maybe it's still good. It's a lot of micro, right? You're constantly having to get Cav Archers on Halb and Magyar Hussar on Siege. But it's probably still the best option we have here, right? I don't think you ever go to Tars or Berbers here if you're anticipating Bohemians. I guess I'll say Magyars again. US versus US? Is it? I don't know Failey. Warpath, I'm quite sure, is from the US. But you would know better, I think. Alright, let's jump in. Let's see. I'm just going to keep saying Magyars for Warpath until I'm right. Alright, well, another 50% good prediction from me. Welcome in Game 2, Warpath versus Failey. We are here on Accaray, and it is the Bengalis for Warpath. So I said this felt a little iffy. Bengalis on this map, but let's see what the game plan is. It is indeed the Bohemians for Failey. So I did say the other civ options for Warpath maybe were a little lackluster against the Bohemians. So let's see what the plan is here. Maybe just elephant archers are okay against the Bohemians. Maybe. Why Magyars? Why not? You're always wanting to make their castle unit. Right? So it gives you free Magyar Hussar production immediately, and then it's a pretty open map, so being able to run around feels pretty good. And theoretically, having Magyar Hussar against the Bohemians can feel good if you can keep diving on the Hafnitsa, but it's going to be elephants. It's going to be elephants on elephants. Double elephant composition, some Rasa out. Champions also on the field is probably a pretty good shout. I mean, it's a good unit composition right now for Warpath. Everything dies to the Halbs once they get in, except for the champions, obviously. Bengalis don't have good champions, right? They don't have any bonuses here I'm forgetting about, right? No, they're just missing the last armor. But as the Bohemians here, I don't know if you necessarily want to switch into like your own champions or hand cannons if your opponent has the elephant archers on the field. So it does sort of put Failey into a little bit of a awkward choice as far as unit composition goes. For now, it's Hussite Wagon, Halb, Hafnitsa. Normally, bombard cannons don't do well against elephants because they don't do enough splash damage. I'm not positive. The Hafnitsa have more splash damage, but is it enough? This is a really nice block by the Hussite Wagons. Just gumming up the pathways here so the elephants can't snipe the Hafnitsa. Bengalis are like the #1 civ here. Why? That doesn't make sense to me. You don't want to make their unique unit. You're completely playing against the advantages of the map with the Bengali. Are you not? Like, the elephants are strong, but they're not stronger than like the Persians or most other elephant civs, really. I don't know how much bad water matters. Yeah, obviously the Bengalis on water are much better than the Bohemians, but I don't know if that is relevant most of the time on this map, to be honest. This is the issue, right? Halbs are just rolling through 90% of what Warpath is trying to make here. The only thing that counters the Halbs are the champions. And the champions kind of get gunned down by the Hussite Wagons. Oh, this is a terrible fight for Warpath. Oof. Ooh, oof, oof, oof. Absolutely abysmal. Those poor elephants. Warpath is doing a good job. He's getting map control. So he's getting some control up here, so can claim the relics if this turns into a long game. But does need to find an answer to the Bohemian Death Ball. Total population is not looking great. Obviously, 100 Halbs are skewing those numbers quite a bit, but unironically, some demos down here would be good for Warpath. As soon as I say water doesn't matter, imagine some demos in here. Bengalis get... they don't even get heavy demo, though. So, like... What are we saying? Like... I don't think I like Bengalis here very much at all, but obviously, both you and Warpath know better than me. I'm just not quite seeing the vision, I guess. Warpath has banked up quite a few champions. So I think that's correct. That's a correct decision to make. Onagers also are kind of tough to go into against the Hafnitsa, but I think having some is good if you can get a couple good shots on like the wagons. Don't know about scorpions. I mean, scorpions are kind of the go-to against elephant archers, but I'm not sure they're needed, to be honest. I think I'd prefer just more Hafnitsa to actually push a little bit faster. We've got 115 Halb on the field, right? Like, I will say, though, Scorpions, Hofnitsa, Halb, and Hussite Wagon is a lot of wood. Failey is out of wood right now. So there's 100 Halb on the field, but if they do go down here, it's going to be tough for him to replace them. It's not a good fight. It's not a good fight for Warpath. I don't know where those elephants were trying to go, but they go right into the Halbs. The champions do well against the Halb, but there are so many Hussite Wagons and Scorpions behind, and just so many Halb, right? Like almost 100 Halb died there, but there's still 50 on the field. Failey trying to go for northern control, but obviously the castle here from Warpath is going to deny that. But can you prevent this from steamrolling you? The eco's pretty good for Warpath. He's out of wood, or sorry, out of food, but has 43 on food. So might be okay. It is a very food-intensive civ for the Bengalis. That's one perk of the Ratha, I guess, is it's one of the few units they really want to make that doesn't cost food. Onager putting in good work here. But TCs are going down now for Warpath. Failey is also switching into champion because of the wood issues. And that's not good for Warpath either. Because all the elephants are gone, right? There's 9 elephant archers on the field, that's it. So the champions will do much better against everything else that Warpath is making than the Halbs did. Multiple castles getting trebbed down. TC falls at the front. Still good shots by the Onagers by Warpath. Yeah, there were a couple bad fights in there for Warpath in this game. Elephant archers you don't have to babysit them quite as much as regular cav archers, but you do still kind of have to babysit them a little bit. And you can't replace them, right? Castle is denied fully. But Warpath is maybe able to reclaim some space here, get some breathing room. All the elephants are gone. But champions and Ratha should do okay against this composition now. Warpath still has full control in the north. And he's actually bringing the relics all the way back home. Interesting. So a lot of players will build their monastery up here and just collect the relics here. Normally I don't like that as much, but Warpath has such a strong defensive position up there. Honestly, these monasteries are at much more risk than a monastery up here would be. Well, both ironically and unironically. Castle falls. Castle has fallen here. There's not much left at the front of Warpath's base. He's going to start losing TCs now. Population is looking rough for our boy. And I think Failey is looking at a 2-0 early on in this set. Yeah, that's a good point actually. If you lose your base here, you're dead anyway, so it probably... The only downside, I guess, is that it takes longer to get the relics back here than it would be to just collect them up here. There was already a villager up here for the castle, right? So... But safety is maybe not a concern, you're right. Yeah, Warpath is running out of wood eco as well, right? Has access to the back here, but it's really only these villagers taking wood right now. Failey, I guess Failey only has one wood line too, but it's a much bigger wood line. The flood is good. The positioning at the front of Warpath's base for Failey is really good. Military count is going to dip very, very close to 0 for Warpath in the next few moments. And even another follow-up castle. Failey unrelenting with this push straight down the middle. And this has played out as I feared it would when I said that I don't really like the Bengalis here. I sort of saw this happening, I think. So Warpath has to call the GG. Again, maybe I'm missing something about the Bengalis. I feel like they shouldn't be that good on this map compared to a lot of, not a lot of civs, but like, I don't know, man. Same as on Sudden Death. You put your relics next to the TC. Or right aside, you put your king. Yeah, you put it next to your loot. Yeah. You're right. Obviously, yeah. If you lose this base, you're dead, right? You can't survive off 5 relics or however many. Yeah, 5, right? So if you lose access to these backwood lines, it's game over. You'd rather say I'm missing something about the map, but won't say why yet? Well, all I can say is that Failey takes the victory here with the Bohemians, and the Bengalis, again, a couple bad fights mixed in there, but it looked like the Bohemian mass felt a bit better. So Failey takes that one. That's a big loss for Warpath, civ value-wise as well. Losing the Bengalis against the Bohemians is big. Warpath gonna need a reverse sweep if he wants to stay alive in this series. Also, that was a home map for Warpath, so it's a rough start for our boy, but we still have plenty to go. Game 3 is going to be Sunburn. We did see a pretty much Gurjara masterpiece on Sunburn the other day. As much as I don't love the Gurjaras generally, this might not be a terrible place to pick them, especially against these civs, honestly, right? Gurjaras feel really good against Tatars and Magyars. Eventually. If you get the military out and you have enough camels and stuff, that counters a lot of what the Magyars and Tatars want to do. Berbers, it's a little closer, but I think I still prefer... I mean, Gurjara camels are still better than Berber camels. The cheapness, like, etc. Sicilians is maybe the worst matchup for the Gurjaras, but I don't think we ever see Sicilians here. So I actually wouldn't hate it. I'm going to say Gurjaras for Failey. It could also just... I think Slavs is a safer pick, maybe, like a more regular pick. I think Slavs should be pretty good here, but I wouldn't hate to see a Gurjara sneak right now. If you don't play Gurjaras here, I don't think you're playing them. Warpath. What civ do I choose here as Warpath? Magyars feel a bit better versus the Slavs. So maybe I just continue to say Magyars for Warpath one more time. Do you ever pick the Tatars here? They shouldn't feel... Well, maybe if you're anticipating Gurjaras, you can also go elephants with Gurjaras, right? I'm talking about their camels, but that's also an option. Tatars are the elephant counter pick, so maybe that's a possibility. I think I'll say Gurjaras, Magyars, though. Let's see. I'm not even one. Darn. Alright. Welcome in Game 3. Warpath versus Failey. We are here on Sunburn. Warpath needs a win here. He's going to need a reverse sweep if he wants to win this set. And Failey started off real strong. It is the Tatars for Warpath. It is the Slavs for Failey. So at least my secondary choices were both selected. Nice snipe there on both sides. Both players lose one villager to the opening scout. Going to be Step Lancer opening for Warpath. I think that makes sense. And Failey... is struggling to get the military production buildings up, but it's looking like a halb opening, which I think is the correct choice against the Steppe Lancers. Now you do want to switch into archery ranges pretty quickly. We are seeing a few ranges from Warpath behind this. Another villager goes down from Failey, and another, so that's 3-1 Eco KD in Warpath's favor. But it's going to become more and more difficult to actually find damage with the Steppe Lancers, so I'd like to see... I honestly don't know if I would have even added in these stables. I think these maybe should have been archery ranges too. Although, more archery ranges behind, it's fine, it's fine. Oh, another villager goes down. Another 2 villagers go down. What are the halbs doing here? They're bumping instead of attacking. So... shows what I know. More villagers go down to the Steppe Lancers. This is going to be another one. It's going to be 7-1 Eco KD in Warpath's favor. 10-4 villager count right now. Cav archers are arriving. So they can snipe villagers a little bit more easily. They do still die to the halb, though. That's another villager down. 9-1 now. 11-1. There's only one villager left standing for Failey. He's camping in his TC. That's usually a really bad sign. Tries to sneak out here for this castle. Really needs these castles to come up. Warpath on the Warpath has a forward castle already on the way. Steppe Lancers swoop in again. More villagers dying. 93% on the castle. 5, 6, 7. Castle completes. Okay. It was an expensive castle, but the castle does complete. But the positioning on the map now for Failey is real bad. It's real bad. Forward castle on both sides. This one is denied, at least. So Failey won't have castles all over the place. But... actually denies both castles briefly. This one should go up eventually. But good job there. With just Hussar, just a halb, basically, sniping vills on both sides. Don't know if it's going to matter. Still only 4 villagers for Failey. Is trying to get this castle up on this side now, but more Cav archers and Steppe Lancers continue to roll in. Another villager goes down. Is trebbing down this foundation, so maybe this castle doesn't complete after all. Warpath not really sending vills forward. Also... there has been some counter damage. I guess the counter damage has mostly been these 2 Doubt Castles, but only 11 villagers for Warpath is not a ton. Still, I think Failey's just dead here. It's only 1 castle was able to complete. There's 3 villagers in here somewhere in the castle. Trying to get Boyar out on the field, but the TC is going to go down to just Steppe Lancers and Cav archers. And, well, I think Warpath is going to begin the reverse sweep, at least. I can't imagine there's any way back. Failey's doing the correct thing. He's banking up as much military as he can inside the buildings. He pops out now, but I don't think there's enough here. I don't think there's nearly enough here. 20 to 80 military population. These 3 villagers are the last of their kind. There's no TC here. Failey's no TC gaming. And is building barracks behind. So if these villagers die, it's strictly game over. Trebs are finally here for Warpath, so the castle can start to go down. Failey's running. He's on the move. Twin... oh, these are the saddest town centers I've ever seen in my life, man. Oh, no. This is what we're reduced to. Peacefully building some town centers at the edge of the map is all we have left. The villager who remained behind dies. The castle is dead. And the GG is called as the cavalry roll into the town centers. And Failey is would have been straight up defeated in the next few moments. Ping was so rough, says Failey. Yep. With better ping, this would have gone totally differently, I'm sure. Warpath on the scoreboard. Tatars overpowering the Slavs here. It was just so much damage early from Warpath. Even though there was a moment in here where the KD was somewhat even, but so many villagers having to hop in and out of the town center here, the production buildings just didn't come up fast enough for Failey because Warpath was all over his eco with the military. So, that's a good win for Warpath. We don't see a sweep here, which we always appreciate not getting a sweep. Warpath maybe can still turn this one around. Last pick Tatars, also beating the first pick Slavs feels really good. So that was actually a huge win for Warpath there. Not only staying alive in the set, but really good Civ trade there. Alright. We have Failey's 2 home maps left, Immersion and Runestones. And Warpath does have much better civs, in my opinion. I don't like the Malay very much. I don't like the Gurjaras very much. Romans are fine, but Berbers, Magyars, and Sicilians feels like a much better combo for Warpath here. So, reverse sweep could be on the table. Where are we going next? I have a game for A and game for B, so there might be a crash in here, but hopefully we can see the whole game. It's going to be on Immersion. Immersion. It should be Berbers for Warpath. I think the Berbers are maybe the best civ in the game on Immersion now, with this version of Immersion, this version of Immersion, especially. Having the faster villagers to run out to the ponds is just so strong. And the Berbers are good on water and land and all that kind of stuff, so they're kind of cracked. Is it a Malay elephant play for Failey? I think the Gurjaras are too slow. Even though I said I don't hate the Gurjara military against the Berbers, I think they're just too slow on Immersion. So I guess I'll say Berbers Malay. I need to hit both of these predictions, by the way, because I got 0% on the previous, not the previous game, but yeah, the previous game. I got 0% on the previous game. So I got to return to 50%. Let's see. All right, that's what we needed. Welcome in game 4, Warpath versus Failey. We are here on Immersion, and it is indeed the Berbers for Warpath up against the Malay for Failey. Warpath. Oh, so close to seeing this Vil. There we go. All right, Doc denied by Warpath. Really nice snipe there. Might even get the second villager if he's able to pay attention, but no, the Halb goes through the Hussar. And Warpath is kind of slow to the dock, so I said Berbers are much faster to these docks, but Failey is already here, already one harbor up. And 2 more coming up. This camel, oh, just snipes that villager. Another really good snipe. Delaying these docks is really nice for Warpath, but not committing nearly as much to the middle water as Failey early on here. So already 2 harbors up, 2 more on the way. Failey is super housed. Actually, giga housed. So this villager was coming forward for the harbor, I think. Has to take a little time off to get some houses down. This does allow Warpath to get Navy out on the field, and look at this. Navy in the queue, but we're housed so badly that it can't actually see the field. Demos coming out. We're going Malay fast fire ships, which I guess is fine. Malay don't get heavy demo. It's just regular demo ship. Here come the camels. Oh, actually, you know what? I never thought we'd see a good demo on Immersion ever again, but you know what? That was pretty good. The ponds are so small now that I thought that was no chance of demos any longer, but that was an alright one. The harbors do fire automatically, so it is quite a bit easier to hold middle control as the Malay. But the unit composition on land is going to be tough, I think, for the Malay. They've got good halb, and they've got bad but cheap elephants, and that's basically all they can make. Plus siege, right? So the Berbers should have a much better land tech tree. And I love the champion addition here by Warpath. The camels are fine. They're a fast unit, right? So that's okay, but against the halb long term, you don't really want camels. I guess if the Malay switch into elephants, the camels will do alright. This is a lot of cannon galleons out here for Failey. 10 cannon galleons in this middle pond. They are taking quite a bit of damage from the camel archers, but have already destroyed a few pretty big buildings. Failey also with the harbors here is nice. So it's difficult for Warpath to find a good avenue for attack. The champion is getting toasted here by the fast fire ships. Camel archers getting hit by a couple of cannonballs to the face. Harbors don't do that much damage, but it is technically... This is kind of a cheeky way to get towers down on the field, right? Towers are banned. Usually it's just the donjons by the sergeants that you can make to that capacity, but harbors sort of kind of do something similar. Camel archers run through. This is really good for Warpath. Denying TCs and houses. The halbs can't catch up. But Failey is on the push. Another castle's going to go down here. Really can't make these things in range of the water anymore. Failey has such a stranglehold in this middle pond. You kind of have to give up for the time being on these sorts of castles, I think. Failey is denied out of the southern pond at least. But this push is looking pretty tough to deal with. Castles falling is also really bad for the Berbers, right? They want their castles up for the camel production, so... And... okay, we've got a pretty good army here. A lot of the base has been lost, but Camel Archer Champion feels like a pretty good composition to me. Total population is still way better for Warpath, by the way. Failey's just kind of like given up, I think, on expanding his base at all. The villager production has not been there. And those TCs being denied in the back might have made Failey feel like he just needed to go full aggro, but now the military push has dried up and there's no wood left. The push was really good, but I think Failey just lost, right? He has to buy wood now and sell food, I guess. But he's not going to have the eco to really stabilize, and without a huge military on the field right now, I don't know if the push can work anymore. Warpath, 44 villagers. It's not a ton, but it's more than Failey has. Pretty good eco spread considering how much of the base was lost. Rolls through with Hussar. Snipes a couple vills. Camel riders to the right-hand side again. These camel archers have just been swooping around the back of Failey's base this whole game. They should do quite well against the Arbalests. Ooh, but Warpath backs up, okay. Huge value there by those arbalests. If the camel archers roll through and kill these villagers, well, I guess it doesn't matter because cannon galleons have arrived for Warpath on the outside water. Just in range of that castle. So the castle goes up, it's going to go down immediately. Hussar. You know what? It's fine. It's a trash unit, right? As long as they're killing some ships in here, it's fine. The harbor's really not doing enough to deter them. The demos might. Nice demos. We like to see that. But I don't know, man. How many? Almost 50 camel archers on the field now for Warpath. The market goes down for Failey, which is actually a huge loss. Failey does not have enough wood to make another market. Right? He has no other market. Obviously, he can collect some wood, but Kenny, I don't know. He's going to lose all these villagers, and I think Warpath is going to bring this up to a tie game. I can't imagine Warpath loses from here. 13 villagers is all that's left for Failey. Yeah, he's getting eviscerated on the wood lines on both sides. Decent amount of elephants, I suppose, considering what our ecos looked like, but the elephants don't help against the cav units just running around your base, right? And, well, it took Failey a while to resign in the previous game, so I guess we'll chill out here and see when he wants to call it, but I feel quite confident now that it is 200 to 40 total population that Warpath probably has this win. I tend to jinx people when I say that they've already won a game, but I don't think even I can do that here. I don't think so. Failey will at least fight until the elephants are gone, I guess. Yeah, you missed a lot in a short amount of time, Otter. He does still have some res, it's true. Warpath is out of wood, so he needs to heavily balance his eco behind this. Just in case, that is maybe a throw condition here for Warpath if he doesn't notice, but it looks like he's starting to balance that out a little bit. It's 100 villagers to 25 in Warpath's favor. Total outside water control. Basically total inside land control. It's just the inside water that Failey still has kind of covered. Here comes the next army of cav, though. They do not care about these harbors. And, well, we've got some halb here. We're underneath the castle, so this is probably going to be a pretty good fight for Failey, to be honest. Warpath maybe getting a little bit too aggro. Still has a huge army of camel archers in the back. Is taking map control back here. I like that. I think, honestly, this castle could have been up here even, and it would have been fine. Here's the pushback. Here it comes. Surely this is going to win the game for Failey. Berber pikemen coming out on the field for Warpath. Usually not what you want to see, but you know. I mean, this is going to be another good fight for Failey. If Failey can continually have the armies back into the harbors and the navies over the next, like, hour and a half, he might still be in this game, potentially. I really would like... I would like it if Warpath made a trebuchet. I would really like it if Warpath would make a trebuchet right now. If this castle goes down, Failey's dead. That's the only thing keeping Failey alive at all right now. All of his eco is underneath this castle. So I'd like it if Warpath would start to push that. Another fire alarm going off in the background for me. I have been in the midst of about the 5th winter storm, like big winter storm that has hit my section of the world this winter, so I'm not totally surprised. Failey continues. Another castle in the front. He knows Warpath's weakness is that he is refusing to make... That's a nice demo. Refusing to make trebuchets. It's full cannon galleon for Warpath, but unfortunately that does not help him on the inside ring here. Failey is tapped out at 40 villagers, has 0 on food, 0 on gold, 5 on wood. And yeah, the camel archers can just dive in here and kill all the navy, to be honest. Another castle for Warpath, secures more gold. This was the map that Warpath turned into a wood game, right? So he's not taking any chances this time. He's taking early wood control. I don't think this is necessary. There's 9 military units on the field for Failey, and 7 of them are navy. Trebuchets are in the queue. Hallelujah. Alright. Finally. I was getting really concerned that Warpath was on a no trebuchet mission or something here. But, okay, we do finally get some trebuchets coming out in the queue. That should end the game in the next 10 minutes. Now that there are trebuchets. Obviously, you have to be a little careful that you don't lose them to, like, cannon galleons. But that should be the end. Did we find someone more stubborn than Warpath? I think so. Failey has been very... How do I want to say? Unwilling to give up. Never give up, never surrender, I think might be Failey's motto. He waited until he had basically no buildings and no village. He was almost defeated totally in the previous game before calling the GG, so we might be here for a little while longer, but that first castle goes down. Trebuchets can roll forward. I think taking out the harbors here is smart. Maybe not necessary because Failey has like nothing. And there we go. I'm going to assume that GG was called after the game ended. Warpath might be looking at a reverse sweep here. Takes it here on immersion. Like I said, I think Berbers are just the best civ on this map, though. Warpath didn't really take great advantage of the Berbers here, I don't think. Didn't go for the early docks. Even sniped multiple villagers building the docks here for Failey and still really lost the water super early. But yeah, I actually don't mind Malay here either. I think Malay are pretty good. Like, the elephant push with Malay can be really strong, especially at the not top level, but even at the top level, I think it's not that bad. The harbors don't do a lot of damage, but they are kind of annoying to have to deal with, so clogging up the middle with them can be good. I don't mind the Malay here, but I think Berbers are better. Alright. Well, this one comes... I was a little nervous at the beginning of this set. Failey just kind of bulldozed those first 2 games, but it's looked really good for Warpath since then. And we move on to Runestones. Warpath still has not chosen the Magyars. Oh wait, no, wait. There's a part 2 to that game. I forgot. Wait a minute. Don't give. I'm gonna leave Warpath with the win on this overlay, but I forgot there is a part 2 to that game. So that is why we didn't see the GG. Maybe. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Are we not done yet? No, this is. What is this? They didn't restart the whole game, did they? This is just the same game again, right? Wait. Hold on a minute. Hold on just a minute. There's a game 4A and a game 4B. But I think this is just the same game twice. Because we just watched game A. Right, okay. So we definitely just watched game A. I think game B is the same game, but let me see. Because they're starting over. Surely they would not have started over from that position, right? Castle. Snipes the villager here after going back. Yeah, okay, that's the same game. Okay. Okay, so I don't know. I don't know what that is, but Failey was giga dead either way. So I don't know why there's 2 there labeled differently, but that's the end. That is the end. Yeah, and Otter's the admin, so must have just been something weird with the packager or something. I don't know. Okay, so we're gonna move on to runestones. I think it should be Magyars versus. Do I like the Gurjaras or the Romans more for runestones? Again, if I'm anticipating the Magyars, I probably prefer the Gurjaras. So, I guess I'll predict. Is there ever a world where you go Sicilians here as Warpath? I actually like the Sicilians a lot, but I think I have to go Magyars, Gurjaras as a prediction. Let's see. Let's get it right in. Okay. Welcome in game 5. Decider match here. Warpath versus Failey. We are here on Runestones. It is the Gurjaras for Failey, but it is the Sicilians for Warpath. So I said Gurjaras probably feel okay against the Magyars. Do I think the Gurjaras feel okay against the Sicilians? What is Warpath doing? He's chicken castling against the Gurjaras with the Sicilians. All of his villagers are making this castle. He doesn't even have a house down. So he's housed at 5. There we go. Castle completes. We don't need to make a castle in order to make sergeants, though. So we don't usually see the all-in castle play here by the Sicilians, but okay. Now the sergeants can start making the dungeons. Your villagers can start making whatever else. So it's going to be sergeant or infantry siege for the Sicilians. That's basically all they can do. They do have interesting options cavalry-wise, but I think usually it's just infantry and siege and dungeons. For the Gurjaras, I feel like this is not a good Civ matchup for the Gurjaras, right? Trivamshas get obliterated by sergeants, or they should. if they take a fight. Obviously, that they don't necessarily need to take a fight because they're so much faster, but yeah, it's not pretty if they're actually trying to fight. So there you go. There's a melee unique unit that the sergeants beat, Otter. It's the Shravamsha Riders. We were asking this question in my previous stream. Alright, we've got SO, we've got Halb, we've got Sergeants. For Warpath, it's going to be Shravamsha Chakram and Elephant, Siege Elephants. I don't know, man. I'm notoriously a Gurjara hater, but I don't know about this one. Shravam should do really well against onagers, so you do need the infantry around the siege. And they'll also not be too bad running around the dungeons either, to be honest. But they just don't kill the sergeants. So, it's one thing diving underneath dungeons to kill villagers, but you can't dive to kill a sergeant. They're far too beefy. Also, I love the chakrams, but I think they'll do terribly here, right? Because they're only going to be doing 1 damage to the sergeants. So, you need, like, 50 of them to start 2-tapping a sergeant, and then with all the pass-through damage, it feels good. But Sicilians have good SO, which should be a pretty devastating counter to chakram throwers, I think. Okay, I've been waiting to hear your thoughts, Otter. I've just talked about how bad I think the Gurjaras are in this Civ matchup. Do you have... Am I missing something? Or is this terrible? Had to trigger Maxi further? That's a worthwhile reason to miss things. It's a lot of elephants, so if we're waiting for a big push, they're gonna cleave through the dungeons quite quickly. I'm missing that they aren't? Okay, can you give me more? Oh, no, I see what you... Yeah. Yes, this was a good counter pick for the Magyars. But, so I think that was not a terrible idea, because I don't think you can go Romans. I think Romans are quite bad against both Magyars and Sicilians to a certain degree. Maybe they're okay against Magyars, but I don't think I love that. So I think it had to be Gurjaras here. Warpath actually made a really good decision and did not go for the Magyars, which I thought he might. Because I think the Sicilians just body the Gurjaras. I think. I don't know what the Gurjaras can do here. Okay, they force some friendly fire with the Shravamshas. So that's nice. It's a little stupid because, like, you attack the Shravamsha and they dodge the shots. So you attack around your own units and then their units are still alive, but that's just the Shravamshas for you. Failey is getting relics, which is nice, I guess, but I don't think you can ever take a fight, right? Shravamsha Bombard Cannon is a lot of fun versus Halbesso and can work if you're the better player. How do you kill the Halb? No, neither of those things kill Halb, though, right? I guess that's what the chakrams are for, but it's just gonna... I mean, I said you needed 50, right? There's 50 here. So they'll do very well against the Halb. Alright, well, maybe this is it. Elephant chakrams. Does not do well against the SO. But you know what? They're going to find some damage on the right-hand side. Okay, so you have to hope that your opponent makes a mistake and loses all of their health, I see. Yeah, the elephants do not get it done. And the chakrams are doing okay, but I don't think they have the range necessary to survive against SO, is the unfortunate reality of the chakram throwers. This is a unit that I say counters everything in RM. One of my hottest takes in RM is that I think the chakram throwers are completely broken. But I think that's stipulated on the fact that you don't get to Siege Onager in RM. Because I don't know, I don't think it's a good comp. I don't think it's going to be good. But Failey is on the pushback here a little bit. Donjons are starting to fall to the bombard cannons. The chakrams demolish the halbs. So we'll see if they survive against the SO. Yeah, this is okay. The Hussars try to roll in to snipe the SO. This is maybe a composition that can work for Failey. I think this is the correct composition for Failey, but it's tough. It's real tough, man. It's real tough. That's a lot of dead chakrams and Gurjara or Hussars, to be honest. Holy, my brain is not all there anymore. Also, donjons are all over the place. I said towers can't deny a castle. Can donjons? It might be able to. There are sergeants coming out here as well. They seem to just kind of be milling around. Even with 2 donjons and a bunch of sergeants, the castle is still not denied. Cause some damage in the back here, I suppose. But there's just nowhere to go. Warpath has just covered the map in donjons. The chakrams have nowhere to go. We are back up to 52 chakrams, but bombard cannons go down to the SO. Chakrams trying to dance around the SO. Snipe the monk. Okay, the monk goes down. We had to give some lives up to accomplish this, but you know what? It's fine. Cavalier also should do quite well against the chakrams in little numbers like this. Yeah, Gurjaras don't get SO. They don't get siege engineers. So it's really tough. It's extremely tough to try to go Onager here. "24 chakram is not enough. You really need 50 to 60 of them. And I think Warpath is in the unbeatable composition now. Unless he really makes a mistake and loses all this, which, to be fair, he just left most of his army. It's fine, though. Yeah, they do get farms. But Sicilian farms are the best, I guess. I think Sicilian farms are more efficient than Teuton farms even. Is that true? I'm not sure about that one, actually. Do Teutons get crop rotation? I'm now second guessing myself. We have to do a Gurjaras versus the world and a Dravidians versus the world challenge. I think I take the Dravidians. Surely, right? I think the Gurjaras have so many bad matchups that the Dravidians should be able to get more wins. Okay, a little sloppy here by Warpath, it's gotta be said. And we each play the Civ versus 10 random Civs, and I cast it. I'm down. Who's an acceptable player on Otter's level that I need to convince? Like Leaf? Otter says those sets usually go. But I need someone who actually likes the Dravidians is the thing, right? Otter loves the Gurjaras. So he knows how to play the Gurjaras better than most players. I need someone who actually knows how to play the Dravidians and likes playing them. That's very important. Anyone believe? The only other top player I know of that appreciates the Gurjaras is Frost, but I don't think Otter is going to go for that. I don't think Otter will accept Frost as a comparable player, unfortunately. Zayu? Okay. Does Zayu appreciate the Dravidians, though, is the important question. I don't know this. Dravidian fast feudal double barracks men-at-arms rush is an evil build. True. Yeah, I think Otter admits the Dravidians are a solid Civ and RM. I think. I think though I still believe Dravidians are a little underappreciated in RM, I think Otter does like them in RM. This is strictly a DM disagreement. Dravidians are also solid on DM, just not on water maps. Yeah, well, they're not as good on water maps in DM, that's for sure. This is a nice slow push here for Warpath. This is the third game in a row where it feels like Failey's been dead for a hot minute. And it's just hanging on. He's not dead yet, to be fair. This is the least dead Failey has been in the last 3 games. But I do think this is a lost cause. 100 Thericidai. There we go. Now we got some chefs in the audience now, Biscuits. Chakrams get destroyed. Absolutely destroyed. Even the camels are getting destroyed. Brutal. At least we got a good shot there before the end. Cavalier raids coming in clutch. I think the elephant archers are... But the elephant archers get countered by the SO anyway, right? So long. I don't even love that. I don't think the Gurjaras have a composition against the Sicilians that feels good long term. All right, there it is. Warpath finishes off the reverse sweep. Failey looked really good in those first 2 games, but I think ran into a bit of a draft difference here. Warpath had the staying power with its civilizations. Failey, I mean, it wasn't terrible, right? Like we said, Malay are not bad for immersion. I just think the Berbers are a little bit better. Romans are not a terrible civ. Gurjaras sometimes can be okay. But Warpath comes out with victory. Really good set, honestly. Full 5 games, reverse sweep. What more can we ask for? The answer is a wood game. I thought we might, with how Failey was hanging on to some of these last 3 games, I thought we actually might hit a wood game with Failey just being dead for the last hour or so. But we didn't quite get there. Dravidians hard counter the Sicilians. Absolutely. Woot Steel demolishes the sergeants. Easy. Whippy Boys, OP. No, I don't know about that. I think realistic, if I'm being real for a moment here, I think Sicilians probably win most times against Dravidians.